The TV's Dave Man Max 6 for another episode of MD Muscle Beach TV, and today we have the man. We have four-time and current Mr. Olympia Jay Cutler. So finally, I think this is like the 10th interview, and I was able to catch him today. So, how are you, Jay?
Everything's good, man. It's good. The weather's good down here, and down here doing a little training and just hanging out. So it's good to be here, and of course, interviewing for MD.
So everybody's asking online, what's going on with Jay? Did he move to California? Because we take all those videos and we try to let people updated on your training and what's going on. And so they see you a lot in California, and a lot of people think that you moved here, but you haven't moved here. You just come here a lot for various things such as training and what else?
Pretty much, I think what's unique about what I'm trying to do is, which never really has been done with Mr. Olympia, is I'm trying to put as much exposure out there. Of course, being under contract with Muscular Development, it gives me a huge opportunity because we are, publicity and bodybuilding. I mean, there's no one doing a better job than the internet with musculardevelopment.com, and also through the magazine and all the videos you guys see online and interviews and radio broadcasts and all that. We're really up to date on what's going on, and you're just seeing day in the life of Jay Cutler. Is what my ultimate goal when I won the Mr. Olympia competition was, to give as much exposure as I could, not only to myself but also the routines of what a professional bodybuilder and of course being Mr. Olympia is. So what you're seeing is just more day-to-day stuff, which you saw a lot in Las Vegas through the Jay Cutler TV channel and of course through Muscular Development last year. And now that's continued over. And when I do take the trips to California, which I'm coming out here, obviously to train, which I do every day anyway, and I'm doing a lot of deep tissue therapy here and different techniques I'm using in this year's preparation, where I'm seeing different therapists. I'm actually seeing two different therapists this week to try to get some tissue work and do some different things to try to get my body in functioning shape as I start going into now. Here we are in April. Going into preparation to lead into now my Mr. Olympia prep, and that's the whole thing. A lot of people ask me what's the plan for the Mr. Olympia. When are you going to start training for it? This and that. I don't really think as far as the Mr. Olympia competition at this point. What I'm trying to do is my preparation from week to week, so I can get into that preparation. I'm looking at, okay, when am I going to start my prep and prepping my body for that, and then of course then we'll start talking about, okay, what's the plan for the Olympia, because everyone always says, oh, well, I'm going to do this or that for the Mr. Olympia. I'm training this way, that way. But that's not really the truth, because a lot of things change between, April and September. And I just have to get into that prep time before I can, actually make the adjustments in order to start bringing my body down and into condition, because that's not the goal right now. I'm just trying to get the body in a full functioning shape to be at my absolute best come September 16th and 17th in Vegas.
So it's like a pre-prep sort of. Like every month the goal is for you to get a little bit better, even though it's not really prep time. But and this year is probably where we actually noticed it the most, and everybody who sees you is like, oh my God, I've never seen Jay so big and so lean. So it's kind of like what you've been doing all year.
Yeah, I mean, I think my body's coming to a different type of positioning now, and of course with my age, and I think I'm at the prime age for bodybuilder. But I think what's unique about me is I have a lot of balance between how I train, how I eat, travel schedule, business side of bodybuilding, and it really gives me a great opportunity to showcase myself every week, because I am booked guest posing every week, and you guys see the videos online, and you see what I look like week to week, and that obviously changes, and it only changes really because of the food changes, and of course the travel schedule and the sleep patterns are different. But my food is the ultimate thing in what I look like. And if I have to eat a lot of calories in order to stay full, and right now, obviously, guest posing every week, it's really hard because I lose weight on the weekends and I bounce back during the week. I eat a little bit more. So I look my best towards the end of the week. And then, of course, I get to some of these guest spots, I'm a little flatter or a little fuller. And, some guest posing I'm going to look better than others. So hopefully now being, here in training for a week at a time, that allows me to make those adjustments and try to look my best as I roll into May and slowly into June as I start my preparation to be once again the winner at the Olympia.
Speaking of that, I mean, you were vocal for many years that you were going to retire early. You wanted to win the Olympia at least, once, and then you became two-time, and you wanted to have three, and now you're up to four. And every year, this question always comes back: how much longer are you going to stick around? Not that people want you to go, but I think the opposite. I think people don't want you to go. Many people, so they always like, well, how much longer are you going to go? And you don't know the answer to that question, do you?
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, I'm still in demand, and I still feel great. I think last year's preparation was my best ever as far as preparation went. How the show turned out. Obviously, I won. I think I could have been better, and of course, I think that's the case every year. I think 2009 was just I was satisfied with the way I looked because obviously the 2 years prior to that I wasn't at my absolute best. So I think that I fell into recognizing the fact that I was just I was much better. But I think this year I really have to be in top shape and thinking about the Olympia now, which you just brought it up, and that's the only time I really think about it is when people actually bring it up. Like I mentioned, I'm just trying to get to this weekend and then the following weekend because I just have so much demand between now and then. I realize I have to be at my absolute best. I said this before. There's so many guys in contention to win the competition. It's very, very stiff out there right now. So going into what I need to look like, I need to be better than ever. So as long as I'm better and I can make those improvements and see my physique still holding its own in the upper ranks, I mean that's when I usually make my decision. And after last year's Olympia, I was still kind of like, okay, what's going to happen? I had contract negotiations, and I just had a lot on my plate as far as business opportunities and what the year was looking like. If I did decide to come back and compete, and right away I said, I have to go at this again. I have to do it again, and I reevaluate every year. But as of now, my plan is still to compete at the Mr. Olympia. As long as my body looks its absolute best, come the end of May and June when I start my preparation. But let's see what happens until I get there. That's all.
Does it amazes you that every year? I mean, we talk about it every year when you're doing the show, and even after you lost in 2008, the demand that you're in, and that people booking you a year in advance, sometimes over a year and a half in advance, because they want to make sure that they can actually get you to go where they want you to go. Like this year, you actually went for the first time to South Africa. They didn't want you to go for years, and finally you went this year. That was a good trip. How does that blow your mind that people want you so much still after all these years?
I guess it helps me winning the title, of course. But I think my interaction with the fans, and I appreciate the fans so much. That's why I do as much as I actually try to do and showcase myself as much as possible. I mean, I'm trying to carry a huge fan base and please everyone, and I put out a lot of information on everything that I do and how it's I get to be Mr. Olympia and of course live the lifestyle. So I really enjoy what I'm doing at this point. I'd much rather do this than compete in competitions. That's why I don't do the Arnold Classic or these other shows, New York Pro or some of the other competitions throughout the year, because I just want to focus on the guest appearances. I want to focus on interacting with the fans. It's just really difficult at the shows because I don't get that face-to-face opportunity because I'm on stage. And it's great for the fans to see you compete, but you have to know the personality of the bodybuilders. And I think that's really, really important. A lot of people don't know a lot of these new guys on a personal level. Like I've been around for so many years. I've been, at the top for almost 10 years, within the top two. So I've got to travel a lot, and I've got to have been recognized as one of the elite. And you have that interaction because of that. And I've developed a huge fan base, a huge support system, huge team, a vast list of sponsors, and right now I'm on the top. I mean, I'm with Muscle Tech, I'm with Muscular Development. Those are my two biggest sponsors, and basically pushing me to be the best bodybuilder. And then I have a lot of other sponsors in there that help really push me and make me be the best. And I really have the hunger to be the best still. And, a lot of that's because of not only the sponsorship, but, the fans. The fans keep me motivated, all the letters I get and emails. And, I mean, I can't express enough how much it actually means to me to be supported like I am. And, going on these shows every weekend and see me guest pose, and yeah, I mean it's just a cool opportunity.
It's funny you mentioned that because, I mean, in the past when Dorian, was winning all these Olympiads, and they used to call him the Shadow because he would come to the U.S., win the show, and then go back home, and you wouldn't hear from the guy, except a little bit here and there in the magazines. And then, Ronnie won the Olympia, and yeah, he was popular and everything, but of course, they wouldn't, like you're saying, there was no interaction between the champions and the fan. And I think that's probably one of your biggest, biggest difference with you. When did you come up with that idea to basically let the fan into your life, and basically, I mean, with all the videos you've made, and then with the internet afterwards, and YouTube and Jay Cutler TV and all the things that we're doing, to let people? Do you think that has a lot to do with how popular you are, and also how maybe even helping you win the shows, possibly? I mean, you still have to be good enough to win, obviously, but
I mean, I think everyone has their own style. I mean, Ronnie Coleman, was a great ambassador, and he did a lot of great things, with his training camps. And I know he answers every email, every single email, which, I have to say that I don't honestly do that because of my travel schedule and how busy I am. I don't carry a computer a lot when I travel. So, I have to give credit to him for that. He answers every email that comes to him on training questions. And, I try to get as much as I can, but I try to, do that through like the MD forums and through, certain, usually at the shows when people are talking to me or whatever. I'm just not a huge computer guy. I have a lot of people doing stuff for me that involves computers. But, fans definitely gave me a push. And, they always liked the underdog. I was the underdog with Ronnie Coleman. I won the title and, of course, lost it, which gave me a huge opportunity. Dexter Jackson won that title for 1 year. And, that really gave me a huge push when I came back and won the show at my best. And I'd have to say, that definitely kept me motivated. That's what kept me in it. We laugh about, okay, I was going to retire every year. And I think, a lot of the fan support, kept me in it. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be like when I decide to walk away and not compete anymore. A lot of people are going to be disappointed. I know a lot of people that attend the Olympia just because of me, and they told me once you stop competing, they're not going to come and see these other guys, which... but of course these other guys will gain fans and they'll take the place of these other people. I mean, they're not going to go to the show forever. You can have your fans, but I just think people appreciate what I've done because where I came from, I grew up in a town of 6,000 people in central Massachusetts. I didn't know anything about bodybuilding. My dream was just like a lot of other kids that dream was to move to California and become the best at, being a bodybuilder. I did that. I moved to California, ended up in Las Vegas a couple years later. Made it from the bottom to the top. I was 15th out of 16 on my first Mr. Olympia competition. Worked way up to become runner-up, where I could have actually won the show the first time quite some years ago. And then, of course, beaten down, Ronnie Coleman until he was forced to retire when I beat him. And, holding the title, then, of course, losing it, being the first guy to come back to win it. I mean, it's kind of like a storybook tale of, just trial and error and, being... perseverance, dedication, commitment, and, just dreams. And, I mean, that's what my career is all about. And I think that's what a lot of the fans look at and they say, wow, this guy overcame adversity. He overcame, disappointment and, defeat. He wanted to quit. I mean, I remember thinking, I'm not going to be that great at certain times, and I still came back and won. So for me, I'm somewhere where I never thought I'd be. A lot of the fans, I think, feel the same way, but it's great that they've given me the support all those years. So, here I am. I mean, here I am going into 2011. As once again Mr. Olympia, and I'm going to give it my best come September, and I'm not making any predictions. I realize there's a lot of great guys. I'm a fan of a lot of these guys that are behind me right now, and I'm sure some of these guys, not just one, is going to be eventually Mr. Olympia, and I'm just hoping I can hold these guys back for just a little more time while I'm still active in competition.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Whoever wins the title next has a lot of work ahead of them. If anything, just to keep in touch with the fan and, again, let the fan in. I think that's probably one of the best thing about you when you talk about bodybuilding, and make it accessible to people that will never see a pro or meet a pro or go to pro shows and stuff. There's a lot of fans out there, and sometimes they're all across the world, and that's what's great about the internet.
I just think, I just hope that the next guy that does win the Mr. Olympia will look at my career and use some aspects of what I did in his, positioning to be Mr. Olympia. I hope that I taught some of these guys behind me, okay, this is a business. This is, you have to appreciate the fans. You can't be arrogant. You can't think that you're better than everyone else. And you can't definitely think that no one is good enough to beat you. That's one thing that I'll always say is I don't look at any of these guys behind me and look at, okay, well, Phil was second last year. He's the only guy that I got to worry about. Or, I realize that all these guys are great. And I still feel that the best Jay Cutler can beat anyone on the circuit. I have to think that way because otherwise I'm defeating myself going into the show. But there's so many good guys, and there's so many deserving guys of that title, and it's just time before the new guy comes in, and we'll be talking here on the couch with another Mr. Olympia, I hope, in the future, and there's an opportunity, and of course MD will be there covering it, and I want to thank Steve Bleckman and his whole staff for the support that they've given bodybuilding, really taking it to the next level with their multimedia magazine and internet. And I would just, I can't say thank you enough for everyone over there at MD and all the fans that are now watching this video here. Why we're in the sun in California, that's the most important thing, is we are in the sun. But I know the East Coast people are looking forward to their spring and summer now, and you guys are almost there. So, and of course, all around the world. All right, thanks for coming, champ.